Yo, check it out, yeah. It's Freestyle Friday. Ain't nothing gonna ruin my day. I'm about to get my pay. Yeah, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Veil. I'm your host, Jay Drizzy. Through the Blue House Prophets, featuring my partner in rhyme and partner in time, no longer crime, Black Sun Shaman. Yo, what's the word, B?
Good to be alive. What's going on this Freestyle Friday, Jay?
You know I can't call it, but I'm no longer an alcoholic.
That's a good thing.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
man.
indeed.
Yeah, Freestyle Friday. So we decided to kick it off different this time. You know, see what happens. So you get to be a live witness, those who tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. You know, hopefully you'll like, share, subscribe.
That's me taking off the gloves.
Taking off the gloves.
This Freestyle Friday, you know.
No OJ, no Diddy. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, man. So, what's the word, man?
Man, all is well. All is well. Everything's been going good and in a positive direction. I can't complain.
Indeed. Beautiful. Yeah, man. So we're going to kick this conversation off, you know, like we normally do about this time. You mentioned something about 9 parts of the soul. Every time you go live on Facebook Live or, Instagram Live. So, what is it that you want the people to know about the 9 parts of the soul? And we can go ahead and build and get dig kind of heavy.
Okay.
Going beyond the veil.
Okay, we're the 9 parts of the soul in accordance to ancient Egyptian perception. It's supposed to be 9 parts of the soul. We've been talking about computer programming in relation to the matrix. We talked about stored records and the DNA and the RNA and all of that. So with that 9 parts of the soul, it would be interesting. This is my little theory, It would be interesting if those 9 parts of the soul put together the codes for the matrix, for lack of better terminology. They say you're a co-creator, you're a creator, you are what you think. As a man thinketh, so is he, all of that type of stuff. I think that those may have adjustment capabilities to your reality if you know how to use them, those 9 parts. And it would be like entering the coordinates in the computer to what you want to experience.
Got to coordinate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Universal coordinates.
Yeah. Merkaba coordinates, multi-dimensional coordinates, of that.
Light body travel coordinates.
Astro body travel coordinates.
See, now you went exactly where I was intending. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the role that plays in astral travel. Dream world voyages, so to speak.
So you got the Buddhists, they be doing meditations where they change their breathing and they change their posture and then bring them into a different state of consciousness. In our dream state, we change our breathing and we have a specific posture depending on the way we laying or the way we curled up that night. And those also provide for us different levels of conscious awareness. So when you're in your astral body, if your astral body is supposed to be a less dense body than your physical body, and it's supposed to have the capability of traveling.
Right.
So you'll have a dream of faraway places, different locations, different planets, different things like that. Or you might have a dream where there's a war going on somewhere else or anything like that. And those astral experiences that we call dreams are based on that lighter body being able to travel. And speculative theory suggests that the earth has different jewels, metals, and everything like that, and they have a magnetism value. So the astral body can use the different metals and jewels as a conduit to travel on, just like the cars do the street. So that's the astral body. And I think the astral body is included in the 9 parts of the soul, and I think that it's called the AB, the AB, the AB.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ab man. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of which, when you deal with like the system of the Kemetic tree of life, Ab is I want to say the second kingdom. No, wait. Is it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Second kingdom or Mount second Sephiroth. Deal with Kabbalah, Sephiroth, the second sphere of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It deals with the priesthood. I'm trying to remember the name of the verse. How could that slip my mind? The animal kingdom, the lower nature, the lower self.
In the tree of life, I think they call it like Benai or something like that. But you got the two split round, the Benai and the.
Well, in the Hebrew Kabbalah, I know it is Mount Kuth. It means kingdom, but in the Egyptian or Kemetic system, right now I slipped my mind. I know Ab is the priestly realm, or Sephiroth, and then it goes from the Ab to the Ra, the enlightened, fully light being. I guess you
I think all of those got like a communicative tool. Like as I've been studying them and getting into them over the years, they all got a way of expression in the physical realm. They like got a corresponding physical aspect or attribute, or even on an organ at times. You know what I mean? And those are the points where you can either project or pull in energy, or it's a place where energy is transmuted and made into something useful. So if you know those different points, you have a better chance of having control over them yourself, you know what I mean? As opposed to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of our electromagnetic field, we are affected by outer stimuli that is generating on the same magnetic field, same magnetic plane. So you can definitely be affected by out external influences and outside actors if you haven't shored up your foundational, implementation of that practice, putting it to use regularly.
Yeah, the mirror cells in your body even have a reactionary effect in your body. So if you're in the room with someone who is giving off a high level of some chemical based on anger or based on love or based on something like that, you have a chemical effect, which is if you breathing in and the hormones of that has a chemical effect. But there's also a mirror cell effect that will cause you to feel like, and then what it translates into is empathy. Empathy is what they call it, but it's a mirror cell reaction that allows for you to have a perceptive ability of what somebody else is going through. So like you said, if you haven't shored up your own little energy field or whatever, you know what I mean, or took some precautions, or maybe have some filtration that you do or some cleaning that you go through, you may be carrying or dealing with other people's energy. You know what I mean?
And it can be misinterpreted as your own, or something that is internal, but it's coming from an external source that is relayed to the internal perception and having an effect, on your your internal and external perception of things through stimuli around you or within you, and so we call that empathy. But oftentimes it's you joining them in their experience. You're being pulled into their vortex as opposed to drawing them into your pool or vortex towards whatever magnetism you've chosen. Yeah, and that definitely is a part of the soulical realm, the ab realm, the suke, as the Greek philosophers renamed it.
That bee just came by real quick.
Yeah, you're vibrating on that energetic field. Yeah, absolutely. Like, share, and subscribe, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate those of y'all who are watching and commenting. We appreciate your comments. We got they said I made a picture of you. Okay, all right, cool, nice. Hopefully it's a good picture. Yeah, he said number 9. Yeah, we're dealing with right now. The topic is 9 parts of the soul, but of course this is Freestyle Friday. So if you want us to talk about something that you're interested in, that you'd like to gain more information, if we are knowledgeable on that topic, go ahead and throw something at us if you like. Be kind, because this is impromptu. You know what I'm saying? No excuses.
You know what? I just got to enlighten what you just said. That was one of the hardest struggles for a shaman, in the United States, or a person who deals with dual realities. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
The traditional cultures have ways of dealing with that and understanding what that is and how to function with it. In the United States, it's not as available for you to get, assistance where people will tell you what's going on beyond what you would find in school, college, or college, education. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you could be dealing with empathy at a very high level, and you have identity crises at a young age, you know what I mean? Because you're dealing and carrying somebody else's emotion, or dealing with somebody else's thought processes or pictures and that they deal with in their mind. And your only thought is, well, if I'm thinking about this, then it must be how I feel. You know what I mean? It must be something that I need to explore because I feel this way right now. You know what I mean? Or you may take on their emotion and not have anywhere to direct it. And unfortunately, you will feel most comfortable directing it to the ones that you love.
Right.
Because you know that you could bounce back from that. You know what I mean? So, that's important. Something important to deal with is mirror cell reactions and all of that, and protecting your energy field.
On the same in the same vein, crystals, something that helps you with transmuting energy, or even acting as a barrier to deaden or dull some of those external influences. Crystals, right? That's more your expertise. By the way, www.blacksunshaman.com.
Yes, indeed.
Please support for your own benefit that particular website. My man has launched here, the Black Sun Shaman himself.
Yes, indeed.
And his beautiful queen. They've launched a business to benefit the people. We'd like for you to share that out. Check the website out. We have parasite. Well, they have parasite cleanses. I'm working along with them as far as plugging it and promoting it. But this is his project, and this is the shaman that you need in your life right now. There's no question that this was not by accident. If you've tuned in, if you jumped on, if you come across it, you were meant to. Welcome. Like, share, and subscribe at JDrizzy3692. That's our channel. Also, check out the Schwabel Room. Shout out to the Schwabel Room, 3 PMD podcast, the Dirty 30, the Handsome Beat Down, 3 PMD, 3 the Hard Way. Mercs with Mics. We got all kind of content for you, but we're dealing with the spiritual, esoteric, hidden, occult, religious. Even then sometimes we'll probably delve into some politics and deal with the religious side of
Ooh,
that.
boom, 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 boom. That's
Yeah,
how we delve into politics. Boom, 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 boom. Oh,
yeah, we
oh.
swinging at all angles, from all angles. But go in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So yeah, that mirror thing is something to deal with, but just the nine parts of the soul, each one of them got a way of communicating. You know what I mean? If it's your mind, and your mind is a part,
Indeed.
then your mind uses thoughts as a communication form. Your throat
Correct.
uses vocal cords as a communication form. You know what I mean? Each part of your soul has a communication form. If you can get in control of those communication forms, then those are supposed to be the vibrational outputs for your experience. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
make it let me make it simple, because I know somebody like, what the heck is he talking about? The water, if you play frequency to water, water will change its molecular structure based on what the frequency that's being played to it is. So your body is predominantly water, and it has vibrations that come through your vocal cords and stuff like that. It has electricity that comes from your left and right hemisphere. You can use all of that to make an experience. You know what I mean? To make
Indeed.
a experience.
Yes, indeed. And another word you were speaking on that came up in, the knowledge you were dispensing just a moment ago or a few moments ago was college, right? So when we think of learning, right, a college
Mm-hmm.
is basically a school of thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the mystery schools were schools of Thoth or thought, also called Tahuti,
Mm-hmm.
which deals with the transference of thought energetically through expression, whether it be verbally, whether it be through symbology, through the drawing or sharing of symbols or shapes. When you look at numbers, they're simply formations of shapes combined in order to make a symbol that's recognized universally to represent a numerical value or what's the word? A denomination of worth or value. These schools of thought, when we look at the university is not the college. The university is the universal housing for the schools of thought. And each college within the university, of course, is focused on a specified set of information or data in a specialized area of the soul that can be used within the material plane. And that thought becomes a thing after it becomes a word, right? Once we have the expression for it, it becomes manifest, in this material realm of what we call reality, which is often a shared experience. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, can you give us a little bit on how the soul, what the role of the soul is within the school of thoughts?
It makes me want to first address that the soul is held captive by many different methods. You know what I mean? And just an example of that before I go into that subject. The Ren is a name. Your
Yes.
name is a part of the soul in accordance to ancient Egyptian perception. Your name.
I
When you're
apologize. I
born,
just remembered the name of the first kingdom. Please, I apologize, y'all. I don't normally do this. Sahu. Sahu is the animal kingdom. It's the first kingdom. But go ahead. There we go.
okay,
Sahu, Ab, and Ra.
okay. Oh goodness, where was I at?
The Ren.
Oh, yes. The Ren contract. So you got Ren, which is a part of the soul in accordance with ancient Egyptian perception. And then you have the birth certificate that your parents signed upon your arrival here, which has the name in all capital letters there. And this they purchase, well, not purchase, I don't want to say purchase, but this they take from you, and then they give you a number, a social security number, in place of that name. And so that is the first soul contract that you encounter in your life. Because remember, okay, we got our own individual creative force. Then we
Right.
got a collective experience. And that collective experience is based on the different ways that people are using their creative tools together. Like if something's trending, then it sells more, and
Right.
it's made more, it's produced more, it's manufactured more because of the demand. They call it supply and demand. But in any collective consciousness is responsible for our collective experience. So there's a lot of different methods that are used by our governing body, by our by different religions, sects, and things like that, that utilize portions of our soul to manifest their viewpoint of the world. You know what I mean? And their overall experience for the world. You know what I mean? But so you got these different schools, and these different schools, I'm gonna take it back to where it used to be. These different schools have different places have different energy makeups, just like on your body. You got a different energy in your left hand than you do your right hand. One is giving out energy, one is taking it in. That's the way it is all over the globe. You know what I'm talking about, the grid system of
Yes.
the planet.
Yes.
So you got the grid system of the planet. Each location has a specific energy that a person could learn and have expertise in by being in it and changing in correspondence to that type of energy. So you got the Chinese who are great at this. You got the Americans who are great at this. You got Russia who's great at this and advanced far in these different sciences.
Mm-hmm.
When they advance or go into these sciences, these are revelatory parts of yourself, because just as the earth has a grid, your body has a grid too. So by learning the earth grid, you learn your own body's grid as well. So that's what universities and colleges used to be, and schools of thought used to be. But then there came in people trying to control that for the sake of utilizing the energy that comes from the mind, the energy that comes from the vocal cords, the energy that comes from the emotions, to create their own heaven
Yeah.
on earth at
Yeah.
our expense.
Absolutely. Their form of utopia, which for us could be a distorted utopia or a distorted reality, which is where we get, even this genre of novels. Excuse me, y'all. Sorry about my voice there. Of novels and movie screenplays that are written based on these novels that they call the dystopian genre. Uh, you have, for example, what is it called? The Maze Runner. You have what was another popular one? The Mockingjay. They call it the Hunger Games. There we go.
Yeah, Hunger Games. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
You
we
made me
also
think of Animal Farm. And when you were in this genre of movies, you
George
made me think
Orwell.
of the
Yeah,
book. Yeah, Animal Farm too. That's another good one.
absolutely. 1984. Was another one. War of the Worlds. You have all these different type of dystopian realities that are being portrayed via film or novel, and it's based in, those coordinates you were speaking of being shared in a perceptual reality and becomes the mainstream, so to speak, the main overlay reality,
Mm-hmm.
that it becomes the entire or total shared experience of humanity. So I would imagine like anything that has vibration has the ability to create that, even if we are not aware of where and on what level they're experiencing it.
Yep.
Oftentimes we don't even take the time to consider, is my dog, for example, experiencing the same reality that I'm experiencing? And what does that look like for the dog? Because the dog is mainly sees in two-dimensional perception, but the dog exists within a 3D reality, because we can feel it, touch it, taste, smell it, not taste it, but we don't eat dog on this channel, but you know what I'm saying? To each
Somewhere
their
they
own.
do. Right.
Somewhere it happens, but we can the five senses can pick up on the presence of what we have defined as a canine or a dog. So what is that canine or dog's experience on a multidimensional, multiverse level? With its perception and the coordinates that it is attuned to, or the coordinates that they are attuned to, and how did they change that? They have to have the ability on some level because they have vibration frequency.
Yeah, they would be on a more natural system. Well, I mean, they've been domesticated, so maybe not as much now. But there's two different systems to choose from when you're looking at this concept. When you're looking at the grid system of the planet, you also have a synthetic system that is doing the information transfer as well. You like the computers, the supercomputers, and all of the information storehouses and everything like that, the cloud storage and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mimic of that grid system. So it can become a reality of its own that doesn't match up with the reality that we live in. If a person has on, just to make it simple, if a person has on a pair of glasses and they live in a virtual world, and the virtual world pays them, feeds them, so forth and so on, then they may look at that virtual world as reality, even though there's a whole nother reality that they live in outside of the house that they're not accounting for. You know what I mean? And that's like dimensional awareness. You know what I mean? Dimensional awareness, a multi-dimensional awareness. I know about outside of the house, and I know about inside of the house, and I know about how these two work together. You know what I mean? Right now, we're in a third dimensional awareness, and the third dimension is just 3 parts of that 9-part soul. Yes. So we're in a third dimensional level of awareness. It's supposed to be transitioning on to the 4th and 5th. You know what I mean? But that's where they say we are right now. You know what I mean? Which brings me to the subject matter that I always have to bring up.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a dimensional shift into 5D.
Right.
It's interesting that the transitional system that they use for information, that they expanded, they're calling 5G.
Right.
So
because we're the genetic information carriers that have to be involved in the process of that transition. One of the main reasons why certain carriers were lying to y'all, and yes, they were, and I won't put names out there because you should do your homework. They were lying to you. They had millimeter and micrometer technology, but not being put to use was nano, or is nano, where they couldn't figure out how to bend the frequencies around certain matter, including organic matter, and debating over would it be moral or immoral, not just from a business standpoint, but from a technological standpoint, to introduce this, knowing that it won't bend around the organic matter, and it would definitely manipulate or augment or change that organic matter that it came in contact with or went through or penetrated. So we're already in 4 and 5D or 4 and 5G, genetically speaking, because when we have time travel, we have astral travel, which can be one and the same, not necessarily always, but some people can travel without the use of apparatus or machinery, and others, they have to use or depend upon the machinery. So, when we talk about the being created equal thing, yes, genetics has something to do with it, but the way that we've been introduced to the topic of conversation is from a hateful, spiteful, or divisive standpoint to keep us from actually figuring out our true makeup.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest examples of them trying to make us war with each other so we don't come against our common enemy, they'll tell us that we should hate each other because of our melanin content. But if you actually look at the melanin content is different for every race, and within the races, there are subcontent levels that change as well. which means that each one of these individuals, whether they were high in uromelanin, neuromelanin, or the third type of melanin, or the subtypes of melanin, they all have the potential to have energy transfer capabilities that are different from another. So they have the ability to be an expert at energy transference in some areas that other races are not. So if you wanted a collective idea of what is best, then you wouldn't fight each other. You would accept the differences that are there and then utilize those differences to get a clear picture. It would be like adding all the pixels to make a clear picture instead of having fragmented pieces of the code here and there and everywhere. You know what I mean? Or genetic
Yes.
code or whatever.
Like, speaking of which, one of the manifestations of that fragmented code was like the fall, for example, of Kemetic society into Egyptian society, and then the de-evolution from Egyptian society into Greek society. But the Greek society started off with the right idea, which was they sought after the sunum bunum, which means the higher good of the all, or the greater good for us all, right? And it starts out good, but then when you get into philosophy, you know,
That's the
go ahead. Yeah. When you
no.
get into
I
philosophy,
mean,
it's the love of wisdom for wisdom's sake, but wisdom without application never becomes, it never becomes that ideal that you're seeking after from the very beginning.
books used to be compilated and information. There we go. Information used to be compilated, and it wasn't of such great consequence who it was. The great consequence or the great good thing of this type of information was that the subject matter could be developed further. They made a competition out of it. But the problem came when there was a competition made between countries, nations, tribes, and races and root races.
Mm-hmm.
When that divisionary tactic was put in between us, now we're at a race. Now we're trying to confrontate. Now we're trying to hide information. Now we're trying to do all of these things that cause us to go on a de-evolutionary path. If I have information within me and you have information within you, but we never speak to each other, then it's of no consequence the great things that we could discover together. You know what I mean? And that
Indeed.
yeah, so I
Indeed.
think that was the reason for them so strongly telling the black guy to dislike the white guy, and the African to dislike the American, and the American to dislike the African, when none of that matters in genetic resonance. None of
There
that
you go.
matters in RNA resonance. You know what I mean? That's of no
Yes,
consequence.
absolutely. I mean, and when that paradigm was shifted, it caused there to be a predator versus prey relationship, as opposed to what is the word I'm looking for? A classmate, or a co-student type of relationship. And in that shift in paradigm, the predator versus prey becomes a race, because now the prey is racing for its life, and at the same time the predator is also racing for its life, because it's in pursuit of the prey in order to survive, almost in a parasitic context. And the prey realizes that without its presence or it being captured, the predator won't survive. So then it's like, do I slow down? The predator is saying, do I speed up? Because now you have a race going on. So instead of root genetics, we think, like you were saying, root race. We think of the expression of genes throughout humanity. Now we've divided and subdivided, contextually, people or human beings into subcategories and categories that are not really based on anything of substance other than survival.
And slavery, survival and slavery. They
Yeah,
also
slavery is a means to an end for survival sake.
true,
You know what I'm saying?
true. Mm-hmm.
When you really break it down,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But yeah, thanks for joining the conversation, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. This is the Beyond the Veil podcast, an unusual podcast. This is Freestyle Friday. Thanks for joining us. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know if you want to hear us talk about something. If you want to chime in and you want to contribute, hey, we're open. This is the place to be. This is your safe space for conversation, discussion,
Oh yeah,
introspection,
self-discovery,
self-discovery,
all
perception, purview, all of that. So thank you for joining us. Like, share, subscribe, check out blacksunshaman.com. Get your health supplements, products for everything from healing to parasitic.
Let me just tell them. Let me just give them a little something on that in light of what we talking about. We talking about those 9 parts of the soul. We talking about regaining your energy and utilizing it yourself. Well, there are parasites that go from the one-celled organism to animals and plants that have been taken over by parasitic hosts. Okay, for our parasitic whatever parasites. You know what I mean? And so, in getting your energy back to you, a parasite cleanse. You can come over to my site, you can check it out, or you can go look up parasite cleanses on your own. What I did on the site was I put together the parasite cleanse and the corresponding parts of the body and the products that you could take to get rid of the parasites in those parts of the body. And then I also put on some fabric that helps to block signals from coming into your body or coming into any object that's wrapped into them. That's on those sites. So you can get the frequencies up off of you long enough and get enough energy back to have awareness and be able to make your own decision without all this type of stuff, these bombarding frequencies that are around you on a daily basis. Cell phones, TVs, and the list goes on.
And the list goes on. Freestyle Friday. Thanks for joining us once again. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate your support of the channel. We appreciate your support of the podcast. Get the word out, y'all. Get the word out. Go ahead.
And then the energy transference system. So they acquiring a higher level energy transference. Here's something interesting to note about that. It's the age of knowing. The age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, the age of pouring out of information. So we got an influx of information that's supposed to be coming in from us from a natural progression from they say it's coming in from the inside of the earth through plasma. It's coming in from the sun through solar rays and so forth and so on. This is how the information is traveling. Now here's where it gets interesting. How does information travel down the computer system? How is their information traveling? It's traveling through wires. It's etheric or electrical energy traveling through wires. It's signals, it's waves. All of these forms you have in light too. You have light waves. You have signals that are coming from the earth, the Schumann resonances, and different signals that are coming from the earth. So these are your different options. This is that whole pathology they was talking about, Jay. You remember it's either go into nature or go into the computer system, which you got to choose. You got to make a choice. I'm not saying you necessarily got to make a choice, but you got to be aware of both of them and don't be so caught up that the other one could knock you off your feet. You know what I mean? You want to balance between those two.
So here's a thought. Those who make a decision to the one extreme or the other, what are the pros and cons? What's the benefit and what are the pitfalls? I mean, if you go completely synthetic, do you lose a grip or connection with reality on a material plane or organic plane altogether? Or do you become dominant because you are not normally so you're not susceptible on the same level to the organisms and the organic side of reality?
So if you in prison for over a year, you're in prison for over 360 days.
Mm-hmm.
When you come out, you have It's when you come back out, being that you in walls that's one color. You seeing the same color scheme every day, unless you're looking at a book, and that's all you have in your spectral awareness. So when you step out into the world, sensory overload is what they call it. They tell people who are leaving prison not to just jump back into the world like that. They give them counseling before they go out. They say, don't just jump back into everything like that. Take your time and progress back in, because you don't want a sensory overload, because it may drive you to do stuff, you know what I mean? To have breakdowns, mental breakdowns, and other types of stuff. So they keep you from sensory overload. So there are a lot of things that we don't perceive because we've been in them so long. Like if you in a stinking smell for a long period of time, you don't smell the stank no more after you've been in it so long, because your perception is not that it's even affecting you at all. So it's not even affecting you at all. So if you got a frequency being played to you every day in your house, and I am answering the question, you got a frequency being played to you every day in your house, then that frequency is changing your molecular structure because you bathing in it every day. If you do that, if you live in that house every day for years and don't get away from it very often, then when you finally do get away from it, your molecular structure changes. And when you come back to it, you have an awareness that you did not have before. When you go away from the smell and you come back to the smell, you can again smell the smell. You know what I mean? So that if a person went down the synthetic pathway, the good thing about the synthetic pathway is that it's more stable to the physical mechanism. As long as you're not talking about medicine, it's not even true. What I'm saying is you can cyborg out and live forever. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate goal of synthetic operation, is to cyborg out and live forever, to be stored on record like that and live forever. So if you go down that pathology, that's the goal and what you can achieve. If you go down the natural pathology, it may be less or more. We've been out of natural pathology for so long, I don't even know if we would, but less or more of a physical danger than synthetic pathology is to go into natural pathology, because it's a big change. You're pulling your change from nature, not like some synthetic flip the switch type, you know what I mean, thing. You're pulling it from nature. You're pulling it from different location. It takes more work and labor, but here's the big difference. In the natural pathology, you can access all of these systems. You are not limited to the intake and information on a synthetic system when you go into the natural pathology. It takes the limits off in a major way, even to your own identity, because your own identity houses more information than any known computer to man. And we don't expect to see a computer that can hold and process that type of information for the next 120 years. You know what I mean? So
which pathology would be the best choice? Because let's get an understanding. What is the light code? What is the light code matrix versus the holographic matrix? Are they one and the same? And it's basically up to us to decide how to transition to the next level of extending our capacity and expanding our ability.
Will I go get it out of a book, or will I go get it out of myself? Do I trust myself enough to get it out of myself? You know, that becomes the question. And yes, the natural pathology would be the best, but the most concrete, the most tangible, the most physical way is the synthetic way. You know what I mean? That's what they get out of it. They're able to say, I know what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
if we got the same element, electricity, electromagnetic energy, if we have the
Mm-hmm.
same energy of the same substance, trafficking or
Mm-hmm.
following the coordinates, whether it be a synthetic grid or it be a natural, as you put it, grid, will we not reach the same result? Are there two different destinations?
It's the same. The difference in the destination is recycle versus next system. And what I mean is, if you go in a synthetic path, it has a physical storehouse. Like the light is captured in a storehouse on magnetic record. Okay, you're captured on magnetic record
Yeah.
on the synthetic pathology, even on the grid lines of Earth. Okay, so let's deal with astral travel just for a second to make this clear. So when in child's lunches, in Cheerios, in baby food, they found extremely high unnecessary metal content
Right.
in the cereals, the foods, and especially the Catholic school lunches. Very, very heavy metal content in the Catholic school lunches. Okay. So Earth, we talked about earlier, has metal lines inside of it. If you go in stones, if you go inside of stones, all of the metals that we got from came from inside the Earth.
Right.
So they have a magnetic value. Now, it is said that at one point there were people that were going out in the astral realm defending the world. Since we're on the Behind the Veil podcast, they were defending the world. They were going and they were stopping trouble that was happening using their astral body. Okay. And it said that it said that some people, excuse me, will bypass that. Some people were aware of the capability of travel, okay? And so they put the heavy metals into the foods. They put the heavy metals into the lunches and the baby foods so that you would be magnetized to the earth and could no longer use your astral body to travel anymore to acquire any information. So the problem with synthetic, if you get stuck in that trap, then who knows if you'll ever, when and how you'll get out. You know what I mean? Because it'll become your reality. It'll become your experience.
Indeed, indeed. Now, but on the flip side, still, even with the natural pathology, as you refer to it,
Mm-hmm.
how do they figure out how to trap us within the first two-dimensional realities of the realm of the ether, also called the astral plane? How do they move us coordinate-wise, even though we know the coordinates instinctually? How do they transition us into a holographic experience that only brings about the dark, or what is the word I'm looking for? 1 to 2 dimensional perceptional reality or expression of reality, when right in that same realm of coordinates there should be a record that we can draw from to correct our natural pathology upon our astral body return. I mean,
You would have to get some of the chemicals up off you for awareness, but you made me think of something that I need to address in that area. And that's the Trail of Tears. It made me think of the Trail of Tears. And I only say the Trail of Tears because that's dislocating people who have been at specific sites for hundreds and hundreds of years, developing information,
millions.
developing knowledge, millions, billions potentially, but we not even, oh no, we behind the veil, beyond the veil, excuse me.
Yeah,
So
we're back here.
yeah, so you got these people who were at these locations developing a relationship with the energy that's available to them on that grid point in Earth. They were there, they were developing that, they had genetic information to correspond to it.
Right.
And then if you take those people and you put them on the other side of the spiral globe, flat earth, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? You put them on the other side of that location, then their genetic information is displaced. So they have to acquire and develop new genetic information in the new location. And if they're bombarded with a whole bunch of other frequencies, they may never gain their regrouping to the earth and may find themselves locked in a religious system, a schooling system, a education system,
Yeah. No, you're good. So you just took me where I wanted us to travel. One of the things is all knowledge good knowledge? And is there something from every spiritual system, or let me think how to frame this question. Do all people benefit from all schools of thought?
No.
In other words, if I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, just because I'm melanated, would transcendental meditation necessarily be my pathology for true enlightenment or awakening? Now, I know that's an open-ended question, and this is open to interpretation. I did that intentionally, but go ahead.
I just say it's your genetic information. So if your genetic information has the process to eat an apple and make it into something digestible, because your people been eating apples for 100 years, and then you go somewhere and they don't have no apples,
right?
It's gonna take your genetic information a little bit of time to make the switch. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
my question isn't would I benefit at all, because I know there would be some benefit regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the full-on activation would more likely take place if somewhere in my genetic coding there were someone or a group of someones that descended from the place of origin of that.
This is why This is why in the occult sciences they say when the student is ready, the teacher will come. Right?
Yeah. Right.
This is not original. That is not an original statement, but I'll leave that alone. But they say when the student is ready, the teacher will come.
Correct.
Where that originate from is people passing down information that allowed you to unlock a specified genetic marker through a specific behavioral pattern. Okay, so
right.
If it's a breathing technique that you're trying to achieve a specific level of until somebody comes and unlocks that for you, you may be the breatharian god in genetics. You understand what I'm saying? And I just use that, you know what I mean, as but you have no idea how to breathe in a way that allows you to utilize that energy. So until you find a breatharian, or until you find someone who has it, or until your atmosphere is put in a position that makes you utilize that type of genetics, you'll be air god breathing like a human. You know what I mean? Like, until that comes. But indeed, there's also the negative side of it.
Mm-hmm.
The person who knows if you breathe another way, then you enter into another state of consciousness that makes you susceptible to the onslaught of programming, enchantment, different stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so those are the, but greater than all of that is the ability to go within yourself and check the record. But, not again, we're not usually able to access that because we don't find the information that makes us privy to it. And then if we access it, we're usually talked out of it, especially if it's more knowledge than contained in a book coming out of a person who hasn't read a book. Usually immediately is discredited. So that evolution can't happen until they go to a school and then give the school the information so they can put it in a book and say it's theirs.
So let me try to make more simple, not complicate
Mhm.
the basis of the question. For example, in the Masonic lodges, for
Mhm.
example, if you go to a British lodge, you're likely going to go into the Holy of Holies as if you were a member, and I am not a member. Uh, you're going to find the Bible. If you were to
Mhm.
go to Iran, for example, and enter into their Mason Hall or Masonic Lodge, in their Holy of Holies room, you would find a Quran, possibly
Mhm.
maybe even a Torah to some lesser degree, but within that room, but not magnified in your view as highly as the Quran per se, right? If you were to go to Pakistan or Hindustan or Punjab, you would likely find one of the many different sets of uh, Indus Valley civilization literature on spiritual systems, like, for example, the Vedas or Guptas or Bhagavad Gita, right? Those would be in the Holy of Holies, right? And dealing with the concept of holy, we're dealing with what? Helios in the Greek, that which is likened unto the sun, which would be brilliant or full of light, right?
Mhm.
As we
Mhm.
say, enlightenment for short, right? So what I'm saying is there something to that, being there is in some's perception the manifold path to wisdom, power, enlightenment, joy, love, all of those great things that cause one to be in wholeness. Uh,
Yes.
is there something to that, being that in every part of the world there is a different light of the world to those people who are of the origin of that particular physical soil, land, etc., etc.
Uh, yes.
Okay.
It- yes, indeed. And the reason that the information resonates to such a great degree is because it is a part of our genetic information. The foundations of those organizations where were men going into indigenous men in priestly robes. That's all I'll say now. Men in priestly
Small
robes
hats,
would go into
big
indigenous
guns.
land and learn from the indigenous people their spiritual information, their mathematic information, their architecture information, their farming information, their clothes making information, their jewelry making information.
I just want to
And
pause.
then
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
nowhere, no worries, no worries, no worries. Go ahead. What would you
I,
gonna say?
I just wanted to put a pin right where you were or are, because spirit means in the breath. To be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
inspired is to be within the breath, right? And then the word breath, we can spell it two ways: BREADTH or BREATH, right? The breath dealing with what is it? The don't get me wrong, the width and girth of something, and then breath, of course, the physical taking in of what we call air, right? But
Mm-hmm.
even when you're dealing with the system of breathing techniques, some refer to as prana, you're dealing with focusing on each particle of light that is taken in to the light body by way of the nostrils, that is contained within each uh what's the word I'm looking for? Each denomination of air taken in, right? You're taking in the particles of light within that air. That is the prana, right? That is the point of light, points plural of light within each breath. And they're supposed to light the candles or chakras or the energy points, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we know that
Mm-hmm.
this is something that would be uh, a universal morsel of knowledge that would be shared, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, for each grouping of genetic coding within the beingness, there would be a different approach, slightly modified for that type of individual or grouping of people. So we're not saying don't read this, don't study that, don't practice. That's all up to you. But go ahead.
And I was going to say, and there are many PowerPoints on your body. So if the Chinese know this PowerPoint best, then I'm going to learn from them. If the American knows this PowerPoint best, I'm going to learn from them. If the Christian knows this part best, you know what I'm saying, then I learn from them. You know what I mean? Whatever bits of information that can lead me along the path of self-discovery and regaining the knowledge of myself, then I'll take it.
I just wanted to chime in on that too. This is not a correction because we all use different terminology to convey and express our intellectual property or what we've taken in to appreciate the sum total of subject matter. But I use the word data when I find myself speaking because I'm trying to correct myself. I say when we take in this data, because the mind is a processor, and it's the processor's job to put the data in formation, put it in order, right? Even in when we talk about the genetic information and how it's stored, and we can store up to 70 billion bytes of data on 1 gram of genetic material, right? We have infinite capability. We have been watered down. We've been, like you said earlier, with the metals, the heavy metals in our diet and certain things we eat and drink, to magnetize us to this not so visible grid to some. And then we also have things like power lines, which we already know from ancient master civilizations we don't need to generate the energy that operates our electricity, our gas lines and transitioning that energy to heat.
This is
go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
This is part of their control. This is part of their control of energy. Remember, energy is the creative force for experience. So if you put the power in a line, instead of telling a person that they can build a jet pole in their yard or they can connect to their tree and run enough energy to supply their whole house with energy, you tell them something like that, they think you're a charlatan, they think you're fraudulent, they think you've lost your mind because you're not telling them the best way to pay their electricity bill. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Which is
to charge it off, to discharge it, and then recoup it. It doesn't mean that you don't send in some type of monetary remuneration or payment, but you're able to recoup that through another process. But anyhow, that's all about energy not being created nor destroyed, but transferred from one party or place to a next or to
and
another.
And then that just while we're there, that is what a dimensional shift is. Just in case to take the spookism out of it, that usually comes with a dimensional shift. That is just more information. That is just more energy. That's all that is. To shift from one dimension to another, all you need to do is take in and make useful energy better than you did before. Then you shifted dimensions.
Indeed. Indeed.
Oh, no. Okay, back to where we were though.
Okay.
So they come in to the indigenous people and they bring them, they learn their spiritual sciences, they learn all of their sciences, and then they, after having acquired all of this information, compilated it, made a record of it, taken items that they were given because they had good relationships with the indigenous as they befriended them and gave them their daughters and sons to intermingle with. After this time progresses, at the end of accumulating this information, The priest would then hand it over to the military and bless their weapons for war. Then the people who held the information about the knowledge that they had acquired over all of this time about the self, about the planet, who had it in their genetics, now they're not there. They're not at that location. Now there is.
So you're referring to, just for clarity's sake, because it's all right, Beyond the Veil, not to cut you off.
Oh no, you good, you good.
You're
You
referring to the Military Order of Jesus Christ, also called the Jesuit priesthood.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes,
Go on,
I am.
continue, please.
So they after that, then they get the military weapons are blessed, and then those people who had that information are displaced if they survive. They're displaced, and the information that was there then becomes the degrees to a secret organization for the fulfillment of their view of the world order. And so our view, for their fulfillment. So when you come into these organizations, you pledge allegiances and oaths to them so that when you get the information about who you are, they can still utilize your energy and you don't go back to using your own energy or establishing your own family lines in those locations and able to build up and utilize your genetic information. They want that information to come to them in a school or them in a college or them in a university or them in the high levels of the priesthood so that they can grab it, take it in, put it on the record, and continue to control the transferring of energy.
Perfect. Right there, I just want us to pause, right? Perfect. So in alignment with that, so then when we deal with that return to the fall of the Greek school of thought, transitioning from the 3D presentation of the first, which really would be the third dimension, digressing into the second dimension from Kemet to Egypt, and from down into the digression into Greece, which is a post what's the word I'm looking for? Post revisionist edition to history. For those that don't know, do your studies. If you're already studying, continue to study. You'll see what I'm talking about. So some realities were placed in a chronological perception as opposed to a chronological reality. And you need to understand this in order to see what's really happening now. So what T or Black Sun Shaman was building on is so paramount to understand how we have Greek letter organizations, some referred to within the so-called Black community as the Boule, Sigma Pi Phi, etc., etc. Gatekeepers, right? What gate are they keeping? Is it just the gate to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding? Is it just the gate to success, financial solvency, or freedom, and a certain level of elite inequality?
They only want chiefs, men of prestige, Jay. They don't want.
Yes, indeed. So let's deal with the prestige. Within a Magician's Act is the actual final part of the act that makes the illusion completely. What's the word I'm looking for? Makes it complete. It completes the illusion for the audience, the captive audience, right? Notice the word I use, captive, because everything deals with the ability to capture your attention, capture your energy, capture your finance, capture your efforts, which would go under your energy, like physical energy or labor. So this is what I want to express. When you're dealing with these organizations, for example, in and of themselves, there is no evil, there is no good. All there is perception. You either walk in darkness or you walk in light.
From the information they stole from, that balance doesn't come from them.
Right. So back to what you were saying. In other words, they're encapsulating our energy, captivating our energy, or capturing our energy, which means we're the battery that makes it all go, right? We're the copper top. Doom, doom, doom. Yeah, we're the copper top. But understand that when entering into these schools of thought, they have a perverted translation of the Sunnam Bunam, right? There are a lot of truths within this perversion, which makes it a bit confusing. And it's supposed to be because unless you are initiated, as they would say, and become an adept, you would be profane. What do they mean by profane? Not just initiated, but unable to receive the light from their point of view.
Tesla, Ford. Tesla died in a hotel room. The Ford family is extremely wealthy.
And what did Tesla tap into? Frequency. And he said, if you understand energy, frequency, and vibration, you understand how to unlock everything within the universe. And he would go into visions that were based upon extreme headaches that we describe as migraines, which would have to be him coming in contact with a frequency that would transport him back to other, we say time periods, but transport him back to other schools of thought in which he could fully understand and comprehend how to create material devices that were once that contained the ability to do things that once our minds unlocked.
Indeed. So that would be the difference between a multi-dimensional ship of your body and a CERN machine creating a portal.
I mean, we speak through a portal. So we transport our thought process for just a moment back to their little technical difficulty. And we transport our thought back to ancient Kem, for example, or even before it was called Kem, Ta-Nehisi, Tameri, Nubia. We can go back into the Amen. The Amen is it is the womb of conception and inception. The Amen is the culmination of all of what would later be called the divine energies, entities, or deities. And they are elements of thought come together and basically spoken through the Amen. When we look at the symbols in the Roman Catholics' symbology of Vesica Piscis, some people say Vesica Pisces, okay? It basically looks like a huge womb, or can I say set of vulva that opens to a sacred womb within the darkness of the universe, the vast darkness, and it is constantly expanding and contracting, right? And so within that is the Amen, which is the mind and womb of conception and inception.
So I would just like to add on that the Ankh, they had Ankhs that you would place in your mouth. And the vibration of the Ankh, it would be an opening of the mouth ceremony. The vibration, they would put a vibration on the Ankh. And that vibration on the Ankh would change your perceptive capability. So just in light of our conversation, if vibration changed your perceptive capability, if you put a vibration on an Ankh and then you place the Ankh on your teeth, the teeth, if you put your teeth together, it vibrates all of the brain bone structure all through here. So when you put that vibration on your teeth, you can literally be initiated into another level of consciousness by the vibratory frequency that's put on that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But now from that Amen, we have the emergence of Ta, the Ta principle.
First vibration.
Oftentimes, I think we get caught up using the word God or deity, and it takes us into a religious, fragmented thought process as opposed to accepting the fullness of the original thought, which would be the first audible sound or frequency that brought about a vibration and vibrated all things that were to exist eventually into existence at that point. So prior to time, you just had existence, and existence coming into being, at which point there is no time or was no time of recording. It just was, and now it is, and it will continue to be. So this is all based on frequency, vibration, and energy. Sound comes from frequency, and frequency comes from vibration.
And if you want to simplify everything that was pretty much just dropped into one simple phraseology, your vocal cords play to the waters of your body.
There you go.
And change its molecular structure in accordance with whatever is being played.
If you're a Christian, then they told you like this in church: speak those things that are not as though they were from the foundation of the world.
Speak those things that are not. What was the other one? Ask anything that is in accordance with the will of God, and it will be granted unto you.
If 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, anything that
Whatever
you ask will not be withheld.
Whatever you bind in earth is bound in heaven.
Bound in heaven. Right?
All of those are matters of frequency on different planes.
Whatever you allow will be allowed in the heavens. So when people start to ask these questions that go a little beyond, well, they're still steeped in philosophy, but they're somewhat also looking for what their perception tells them is something greater than the love of wisdom. And there are things greater than the love of wisdom. Although wisdom, as the Bible has said, not just because it says it, but sorry about that. If you study life, wisdom is the principal thing. Sorry about that. If you study life, wisdom is the principal thing. But beyond that, though, when you ask or you speak or call those things that are not, you're calling from a point of reassembly or of assembly, that you are reassembling. You're putting it all back together. So they can keep us from remembering. We will never come to the point of unlocking ourselves or setting ourselves free from the different pseudo grids or pseudo matrix realities that have been generated from our misaligned thoughts. Everything that we speak amiss is from misaligned thought. It starts out from the thought, it becomes a word, and from the word, it becomes a thing.
In India, they have the concept of tubals. They call them tubals, which is a thought body that is created and then given enough energy to be alive. In Jewish philosophy, they call them golem. They give the golem enough energy that it becomes living, but only living to the extent for which it was created.
Yeah, and in the Greek, it becomes egregore, a being that is produced from a being that is produced from groupthink. And so all of the schools of thought, we now have renamed them in modern political society as think tanks. Some people call them incubators. They're in every, not in every city, but in certain cities, there used to be what they called business incubators, Black Business Incubator, the Urban League. These were places or centers where people came together to group think, share their thoughts with each other.
Bilderberg.
Bilderberg group is an example. Absolutely. Committee of 300, the Trilateral Commission.
They are the ones constructing that matrix.
Indeed. And reinventing God every single day through groupthink.
Oh, and playing movies of specific parts of timelines that include movies like Django and Shaka Zulu and other movies like that. They play a thought that they want to keep in your mind so that they can keep being able to commit the crime.
Absolutely. Keep you distracted. Sorry, I'm having a little.
Yep. It must be getting good. You know how they do it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go. You hear me
There
now?
you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. So, yeah, that's how they keep us distracted with the sleight of hand. We
Mm.
how they keep us distracted. How they move one thing that is actually not as relevant. They're doing something right in our face with the other hand. You know what I
False
mean?
flag.
And, some of the nicknames that are fitting, even though I'm annoyed with the child.
Oh my goodness. It must be getting good. We done hit the subject matter.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Hold on.
No, you back. You back.
All right. So yeah, I apologize. I get annoyed with the child trying to redefine reality by giving an explanation to everything. What's understood doesn't need to be explained. We know that we're witnessing foolery and shenanigans. We don't need to put a name on it other than foolery and shenanigans. Some people might say fuckery. Hey, express yourself, to each their own. It's the same old. The Hegelian dialectic: problem, reaction, solutions.
Salute. That's
You know,
it. That's all.
thesis versus antithesis equals synthesis. How to create a symbiotic society by making them all cry out for the same thing by producing an issue, introducing an answer to the issue or the problem or a solution. And then that is the end result that was desired from the think tank, from the school of thought. That is the manifestation of the egregore. That is the beast. It has so many names, and it's simply rehearsal. Everything is
Yeah.
going in a rehearsed cycle.
Yeah.
You know,
One of them I seen that Rothschild, oh, Jacob, on the interview, man. Jacob in the interview, he say everything we do is held up by appearances.
correct.
He said he was talking about the financial system, the US dollar. He was talking about, he was like, man, my family's over there messing up. I'm gonna remove myself because everything we do is kept up by appearances, and I can't have them messing it up. It's the just of it. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the, what do you call that when you paraphrase? That's
Yeah,
paraphrasing what he said. You know what I mean? But he said it. He said that the only way we're able to keep people in this illusion or trapped in this particular construct of matrix is to continue pageantry and but I mean, every religion does it. Every religion
I was going to say that
and
is the key to religion's dominance and control of the people's minds is the pageantry. People will be so in love with and enthralled by pageantry that they will overlook reality. I don't even want to just say facts. They will overlook reality. And it's right there. I know you telling me this. No, no, no. I'm not just telling you this. This is what was documented at the time when they decided to deceive you. But you don't want to look at that. You want to still default to, but I was told, okay, but what you was told was a lie. So it doesn't
yeah,
really matter what you were told. What matters now is, are you going to still choose to uphold that as your belief? And then how do you reconcile that belief with not just reality, but the life that you are going to live? because obviously you don't really believe what you said you initially believed, because there's no fruit being born from what you're doing. It's lacked evidence from the inception, and now the current manifestation still bears no fruit. So you can sit up there and get mad at me because I express a different idea or ideology, but you can't justify your stance of why you oppose mine with anything real.
Yeah, and then they'll get to using emotions at that point. But I don't want to get.
Absolutely. And,
But
and, the,
emotion
and,
is
and most of us will attack a person that disagrees with our so-called inspired in the breath belief, our spiritual, we say spiritual, right? Our in the breath belief that is not steeped necessarily in evidence or reality or evidenced reality. But
somebody.
they will
Somebody
take it as
said.
personal when you tell them, well, what you
Oh.
sorry about that. All right, there I am. So yeah, again, they will take it personal as if they made up the religion. They can't let go of the program because they have taken it as a part of their person. I hope this gets something from today. I am not trying to be deep. I'm just sharing with you the depths of which belief is held. And if you could reconcile your belief with reality, imagine the change you could make.
Oh, even greater than that, if you could restore your imagination killed by all of these systems and the energy that comes from it, you would have the power enough to change your reality instead of being subjugated to all the systems you've been enslaved in.
Most of us lost our imagination at childhood. The moment that our parents told us to put the toy down and pay attention to the pastor. And I'm not trying to attack church only, because you could
At
trans
all. At
you could
all.
interchange pastor with imam. You could interchange imam with priest. You could interchange priest with rabbi. You could
Or
interchange.
or
Ra-
or apprentice
uh-huh.
or adept or master mason or whatever title you would like to
Past worshipful
the devil.
master, grand worshipful yeah, any of that. Because ultimately what you allow to captivate you, to bring you into captivity, has enslaved you.
And displaced you,
I mean,
disassociated you to your identity,
yeah,
so forth and so on.
absolutely. Like, share, subscribe. I haven't said that in a while. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out blacksunshaman.com. Get your health supplements, your healing, your parasite cleanse, whatever you're looking for. If you have suggestions, get your Faraday objects and materials to protect your body from unwanted, disastrous frequencies wreaking havoc on your light body as well as your physical avatar. For those that like to get deep with the language, but we appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, join our locals community. We're also on rumble.com. Check us out on Rumble, y'all. Not saying that, yeah, anyway, yeah, check us out on Rumble. We're under rumble.com, deeper dives, dialogues. You'll find also, I want to say it's Drizzy47 on Rumble channel. Check us out, join our locals, subscribe, support us. Don't be afraid, donate. We want to have enough going out to not just entertain you, but to educate you, enlighten you, and bring you up, elevate you, in your daily life. We want to grow with you.
Yes, yes, yes,
Thank,
yes.
thank you to the 14 new subscribers within the last 28 days. Much appreciation, gratitude. Anything you want to say before we end this episode for the week?
Yes, indeed. This will be the last thing. Take back possession of the 9 parts of your soul so that you can take back your energy, so that you can elevate or lower depending upon your will your experience.
Indeed. Thank you, y'all. Until next
Freestyle
week.
Fridays.
Freestyle Fridays is a new thing, y'all. Thank you for joining us. We love you. We love you much.
All right, peace and love, and thank y'all for hanging out with us, and thank y'all for subscribing and doing all of that stuff. And yo, much thanks.